श्रीवत्सवंशकलशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्या अवाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्बकुलाभिरामम् श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the fundamental nature of Brahman, how to approach that Brahman by using Vedic studies. We discussed to some extent, and then we saw about the need for karma. What do you mean by the need for karma? So let us explain that very quickly and go on. You have to approach Brahman through Vedic studies for several reasons. We will cover it in greater detail today, and perhaps in the next class as well. But when the Veda has indeed told about Brahman, it so happens that it is still too complicated. Veda is too complicated, it is not simple. Therefore, many people get doubts. What is this Parabrahman? What is its nature? It is not easy to understand. We have said Brahma Jignasa. You know that there is something at the end of it all, an ultimate state. The ultimate being that gives you the ultimate state. All of that has been said. But is there something beyond it? We are going to address that question today. When it comes to the need of karma, we are trying to imply that as per the Vishishtadvaita school of Vedanta, it is not enough to just know. It is necessary to act. What are we trying to say here? Very simple. Let us say I am seeing some problem and I can solve it. Knowing that there is a problem and wanting to solve it is a good thing, right? I have a desire to solve. Now I also have the ability. Is knowing the solution enough to solve a problem? In the world, we see that knowing a solution is not enough to solve a problem. If you are going to give a school exam or a college exam or any other competitive exam, knowing the answer is not going to be enough. You have to write it or you have to select the correct answer. If you cannot do that, you will not get marks. Why is the system so? I have the knowledge within me, right? But having the knowledge within you is not enough. You need to act upon it. If I know that I am hungry, knowing that I am hungry is not enough. Knowing that I need food is not enough. I have to actually eat food. In the same way, knowing who Brahman is not going to be enough. You need to act to attain that Brahman. The effort is necessary. This is a very, very important thing said by Bhagavad Ramanuja in the Sri Bhashya. Because there are statements in the Veda. For example, Brahmavid apnoti param. Brahmavid, one who knows Brahman. Param apnoti, attains the ultimate. If you look at the statement superficially, you might think, okay, so knowing about Brahman is enough. If I know Brahman, I attain the supreme, that is Brahman. That's it. But it is superficial. If you want to understand it properly, you should understand it as one who knows Brahman attains Brahman by using that knowledge of Brahman. So the statements like Brahma Vidapnoti Param, Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati, and so on, they do not imply an ending with knowledge. They do not imply that the second you realize Brahman, automatically you get moksha. Not like that. Realizing who Brahman is necessary. But after that, one has to attain that Brahman, and for that, effort is necessary. We have already discussed in the past about sadhana saptaka. This is where it comes, where he says that for you to get sustained bhakti, which leads to moksha, you need viveka, vimoka, abhyasa, kriya, kalyana, abhyasa, anavasada, and anuddharsha. These seven put together called sadhana saptakam. We get to learn about them in the commentary given by Bhagavad Ramanuja for the very first sutra of the Brahma Sutras. So it is in Jignasadhikarana itself. Now let us look a little more into this chapter or this sutra. This sutra and the explanation of this sutra itself is counted as an entire chapter, and it occupies a considerable percentage of the Sri Bhashya. It is very huge because so many things are discussed, so many ideas are discussed, so many schools of thought are presented. But the most important school of thought, other than Vishishtadvaita, that is presented is none other than Advaita. Now it might arise as a question. If you are inside a school of Vedanta called Vishishtadvaita, is it not enough to just explain Vishishtadvaita and move on? The answer is no, it is not. It is necessary to clarify. I need to clarify where all there is similarity, where all there is difference. It is very important to do that. And everybody has done that since forever. Vedavyasa himself does it. Naturally, Adi Shankaracharya has done it. So now Bhagavad Ramanuja also does it. So, as we all know, the word Vishishtadvaita was not coined by Bhagavad Ramanuja, nor does it seem to have been very popularly used as a word before his time. The school itself is very ancient, but this particular name came later. And this word is very misleading. We have seen before, long back, many classes ago, about how Vishishtadvaita The word is a combination of Vishishta and Advaita. And just because it has the word Advaita, one should not immediately think that, oh, this is just Advaita. And if I say it is not Advaita, one should not immediately think it is Dvaita. Vishishtadvaita seeks a bridge between Bheda Shruti and Abheda Shruti. We have discussed this before. So there are different schools of philosophy. One that says that Paramatma is completely different. The other which says, no, 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 you are that Paramatma. A bridge between these two ancient schools by using Ghataka Shruti is what we see in Vishishtadvaita. So it finds a middle ground while retaining elements of both schools and while also not being a later school which came to reconcile. Vishishtadvaita itself is as ancient as the Vedas. We have discussed before. It is present in the Upanishad, it is present in Ramayana and Mahabharata and so on. So, why is it that in Jignasa Adhikarana, it is discussing Advaita more than Dvaita or even the other schools of philosophy? Even there are so many other schools of philosophy. The reason is that during the days of Bhagavad Ramanuja, it is Advaita that was most popular because before him, some great acharyas had already come, right? Some very great scholars had appeared. Adi Shankaracharya, Bhaskaracharya, and Yadava Prakashacharya. We all know about Yadava Prakasha. We have studied about him in this very course. Before Yadava Prakasha, a very famous acharya was there called Bhaskara. Bhaskara followed a Bheda school. Bheda itself might sound like Vishishtadvaita, but it is not Vishishtadvaita. The word might sound like it is also finding a bridge between the two. At the end of the day, everybody wanted to find a bridge. Advaita also tries to find a bridge between Bheda Shruti and Abheda Shruti. Dvaita also tries to find. There is no doubt about that. But although Bhaskaracharya had come before, the most popular school was still that of Advaita. So it is not as though the great Bodhayana Maharshi himself had discussed Advaita in great extent. That is not so. Bodhayana Maharshi had explained the Siddhanta, and he had explained it in such detail and clarity that through the knowledge of Bodhayana Vritti, which was fortunately present with Kurat Alvan, Kuresha, as you know. This funny incident happened just 2 days back. I was there with another Acharya in Rajasthan, and he is talking to his students. Some of his Shishyas have come to meet him, and he is talking to his students. So this Acharya, pointing at me, he says, these Tamil people, they give so many names that it is very hard. How many names can a person have? They call him Kuresha, they call him Kurattalwan. How many names can they give? There are more names also for the same person. It is true. We do have many names. But all of them exist for a reason. Each name is like a title. Kuresha is a title given to one of the Shishyas of Bhagavad Ramanuja, one of the foremost Shishyas of Bhagavad Ramanuja. This name is not to be forgotten. We have already seen about how he managed to memorize the Bodhayana Vritti, because of which, or thanks to which, Bhagavad Ramanuja was able to compose the Sri Bhashya. So, as he was composing the Sri Bhashya, based on the knowledge of Bodhayana Vritti, Kuratarvan would explain. And here and there, when Bhagavad Ramanuja would present the Sri Bhashya, Kuratarvan would ask questions. How is this correct? How is that correct? This doesn't sound so perfect. How is it? Of course, he would ask in a very polite manner, not with great authority and ahankar. And Bhagavad Ramanuja would explain how to reconcile. It is not as though some people exaggerate it to the point where they say Bhagavad Ramanuja made mistakes and Kuratarvan corrected it. But that is not possible, because Bhagavad Ramanuja was Sheshavatara. And Srivatsanka Mishra, that is Kuresha, Kuratarvan, as we are calling, he was literally a Shishya of Bhagavad Ramanuja. Had he been more knowledgeable, he wouldn't have been a Shishya. He memorized the entire Bodhayana Vritti, and that was his greatest contribution. But Bhagavad Ramanuja, for the sole reason that Kuresha had memorized the entirety of Bodhayana Vritti, ensured that every single thing that he is writing is acceptable for Kuratarva, because he is the person who is having the knowledge of Bodhayana Vritti. If he is able to accept, it means it is acceptable as per Bodhayana Vritti. Oh, he is my Shishya, why should I convince him? Let him ask whatever, I don't care. Bhagavad Ramanuja did not show that attitude. Kuresha on his side did not show the attitude. I have memorized the entirety of Bodhayana Vritti. You are dependent on me. He did not show that kind of attitude. So, we get to learn a very great lesson from the two of them. So, it was with proper knowledge of Bodhayana Vritti that Kuresha would say that no, this is not possible. That has to be possible because Bodhayana Vritti has said so. Bodhayana Maharshi has said so. And with great respect for Bodhayana Maharshi and with zero ego, Bhagavad Ramanuja would say, okay, if this is how Bodhayana Maharshi has explained it, this is how it should be. If this is what is logical and this is what is agreeable to the Purvacharyas, then there is nothing better. So, Bodhayana Maharshi himself had not written that much about Advaita. His commentary was purely from the perspective of Vishishtadvaita. After the days of Bhagavad Ramanuja, nobody got to see the Bodhayana Vritti. Nobody got to see. There are people who say, we saw, we saw. You ask them for proof, they will not have. Nobody has any proof. But the fact that Bhagavad Ramanuja got to see the Bodhayana Vritti and based his commentary on the Bodhayana Vritti is accepted by all the other schools. Advaita accepts it, Dvaita accepts it. And as we have seen in earlier classes, people like Dayananda Saraswati of Arya Samaj and Swami Vivekananda, about whom no introduction is even necessary, they also tried searching for Bodhayana Vritti and they could not find it. They recorded well that we are unable to find it. It is a great work cited by Bhagavad Ramanuja, but we are unable to find it. So coming back, why is it that Advaita is discussed so much? Bodhayana Maharshi himself had not discussed it so much. Then why did Bhagavad Ramanuja have to do it? Why not Dvaita? Two reasons. One is that the school of Dvaita is considerably close to Vishishtadvaita. The second is that the school of Advaita was more popular. So, for you to present a school that is different from a popular school, you have to compare, you have to say, this is what they are giving, and this is what we are giving. What are we bringing to the table? Once I was asked this question some weeks back. Advaita already brought the concept of Brahman and Maya. What have you brought to the table? I said, we are the ones who brought the table. Because for Vishishtadvaita, Jagat is real. The table is but an illusion in Advaita, but the table is real and temporary in Vishishtadvaita. So, in discussing Advaita, he takes a few things. We get to see sections of this Jignasa Adhikarana based on what has been said by the Advaita and also how it is being responded to. So, as you can see in the slide, the first one is Laghu Purva Paksha. Laghu means small. Purva Paksha means the view of the other person, the person in front of you. Siddhanta refers to your own views. So, the Advaiti says, we are referring to Shankara Advaitis, right? So, the Advaiti says, look, Brahman is real. How is that Brahman? What is the nature? It is attributeless, nirguna. It is nothing other than sentience. Today, the word consciousness is more popularly used for it. It is nothing other than consciousness. You call it supreme consciousness, this, that, whatever. But it is consciousness and nothing else. Chinmatra. Chit, right? Sat, Chit, Ananda. That is how the Veda has said. So, Nirguna Chinmatra Brahmaiva Paramartha. This is their opinion. And they are saying that in this, everything else is an illusion. Not just that everything else is an illusion, but also that there is a specific way to understand it. As said by one of the disciples of Adi Shankaracharya, based on which Ramanujacharya is explaining Advaita. Mithyatvam nama pratiyamanatva purvaka yathavastita vastu jnana nivartyatvam. Whatever is called as mithya, mithya does not mean something that does not exist at all. It means that perception which gets destroyed after the reality is perceived. That is what Shankaracharya is referring to when he says Jagat Mithya. And on top of that, there are ways to attain that Brahman as presented by Shankaracharya's school of Advaita. That is where we have Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana. That is where we have Sadhana Chatushtaya. All of that is explained. Once you realize Brahman, automatically you cut the roots of avidya. Avidya is the reason why you are not in the original state. What are you? You are that Nirguna Chinmatra Brahman. Tattvam Asi. But you do not know it. Why don't you know it? Because of avidya. Getting out of this avidya is only moksha. Avidya nivrittireva moksha. So these are the teachings of Advaita. And once you get rid of Advaita, it is like cutting off the roots of Advaita, which means once the root is cut off, the tree would automatically fall. So once avidya is removed, automatically you will attain moksha. This is where Bhagavad Ramanuja disagrees. Not just with respect to the fact that knowledge is not enough, we need to take effort and so on. But in Lagu Siddhanta, Bhagavad Ramanuja explains some beautiful things. There is a statement in the Veda, Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha, na medhaya, na bahuna shrutena. Through this, the Veda is directly saying that Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana are insufficient to attain Paramatma. Where did Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana come from? They came from not some kind of imagination of Shankaracharya, but they also came from the Veda only. Atma va are drashtavyah, shrotavyo mantavyo nididhyasitavyah. This is said in the Veda only. It is based on this Veda Vakya that Shankara Bhagavad Pada had explained. So yes, Shravana is necessary, Manana is necessary, Nididhyasana is necessary. But Bhagavad Ramanuja says these are all necessary, but they are not sufficient. Because the Veda says, Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha, na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Then how do you attain Brahman? Yamaivesha vrunate. Eshaha, this Parabrahman, whoever he desires to elect, whoever he accepts, only that person attains moksha. Only that person attains Parabrahman. This is the statement of the Veda. Therefore, what really gives us moksha? This is very profound. Whatever has been taught in Lagu Siddhanta here, it is very profound. We are, of course, covering a very, very, very short, cherry picked part of it, but it is to give an idea. So he says, it is not through your own effort. You can listen to the truth, you can contemplate on the truth, you can realize the truth, all of that, but that is not enough. Through your own effort, you cannot get moksha. If you want moksha, then only Bhagavan can give you moksha. This is a fundamental difference, right? There is no such thing as giving of moksha in Advaita. In Advaita, there is getting of moksha. And getting of moksha means reaching the state of moksha. Reaching the state of moksha means realizing that you are already in the state of moksha. So there is no second person there. But in Vishishtadvaita, there is a second person, that Bhagavan. So only the person who is able to please Bhagavan, who Bhagavan thinks is worthy enough, can get moksha. So we don't get moksha through our own effort. We get it when Bhagavan selects. Oh, if we don't get it through our own effort, and if it is Bhagavan who is selecting, then why should we take any effort at all? Let him select. Secondly, if he is going to select, does it not mean that he is partial? Who will he select? Who will he not select? If he has complete rights, it means he will select whoever he wants. The thing is, he selects those who are qualified for moksha. It is like this: you write an exam in school, they declare you as pass and take you to the next grade. People who are allowing you to enter the next grade, they have the complete right, correct? They are the ones who are allowing you. But are they allowing just like that? No. They are following a formal procedure. The procedure is, okay, this is the examination. This is the percentage of marks obtained by the student. According to us, some 40% means pass. This student has got 20%, therefore fail. This student has got 50%, therefore pass. This student has got 95%, first class with distinction. Let us declare that way. So, there is a set procedure. In the same way, Bhagavan selects based on a set procedure, and therefore he is not being partial, saying that no matter how much you take effort, you will not get moksha. But Bhagavan, if he selects you, you will get moksha. What does it mean? It does not mean that he is partial. It does not mean that he will ignore hard workers and give at random to whoever he likes. He will naturally like those who follow the procedure. That is how it works. And the procedure is taught in the Veda. The procedure is what we learn as Purushartha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha that we learn about is coming from there only. So, Bhagavan has taught us, if we follow the path, he will select and he will grant us moksha. We cannot get it through our effort alone. Yes, I can give the exam, I can pass the exam, but there is somebody who is admitting me into the next class, right? If that somebody is not there, then giving the exam would be useless. In the same way, there is Bhagavan. We take the effort, we qualify the checklist provided by Bhagavan. And since we qualify the checklist, he, being pleased with us, gives us moksha. This is the concept taught in Vishishtadvaita. So there is a difference, right? A very natural difference between what has been said in Shankaracharya's Advaita and Ramanujacharya's Vishishtadvaita. And this is important for several reasons. One, it automatically establishes that you are not the only one. There is also Paramatma. Two, it establishes that you are the Shesha, he is the Sheshi. You are the Dasa, he is the Swami. So many things it establishes, right? That he has everything in control, not you. Three, by saying that it is he who gives moksha, it is hinting that you have to surrender to him. It is he in whose control everything is. Therefore, you have to surrender to him. If you surrender to him, what will you get? You will get him only. 4, it implies that he has guna. Paramatma has guna. The one that he decides to be fit is able to attain that Parabrahman, Paramatma. So Paramatma is deciding. As Paramatma is deciding, he has a guna, he has the quality. The ability to decide is also a quality. So, Paramatma being Guna Vishishta is also an implication presented here. So, Bhagavan is Guna Vishishta here. In Advaita, he is Nirguna. I'm referring to Paramatma. Paramatma is Guna Vishishta here. Paramatma is Nirguna in Advaita. Paramatma is the one who decides who get moksha as per Vishishtadvaita. This is once again a difference when compared to the school of Advaita. We have to surrender to him. For him to select us, we need to do something. Just knowledge is not enough, right? Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha, na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. You keep listening. Atma va hare drashtavyaha shrotavyo mantavyo nidhyasitavyaha has been said, right? So you keep doing Shravana. Is that enough? No, not enough. If I keep it in the mind, if I, after here listening, I'm keeping it in the mind and thinking, is that enough? No, na medhaya. If I keep repeating, repeatedly contemplating, it is called nididhyasana. Is that enough? No, that is also not enough. So whatever has been presented as the upaya in Advaita is declared as insufficient. Remember, it is not called as wrong. It is not called as wrong. It is called as insufficient in Vishishtadvaita. Now, this is a very natural thing that you will see. The bhakti that is being presented by Vishishtadvaita will also be treated in the same way by Advaita. Advaita will say bhakti is good, you show bhakti. But bhakti is necessary but not sufficient. You want to do Sharanagati, you do it. It is good, but it is not sufficient. So, the different schools of philosophy, the very fact that they have different opinions, it shows the greatness of the pluralistic and liberal nature and also the genuine nature of our ancestors. They said, this is the Veda, we accept it completely. You accept it completely, I also accept it completely. But you are interpreting it differently, I am interpreting it differently. I am saying this is necessary. You are agreeing with many of it, but you are saying they are not sufficient. And you are adding one more point. Now, the point that you are adding, I think that point is also fine, but that point is necessary and not sufficient. In this way, different schools of philosophy would interact with each other. And this interaction, it must be noted here, was completely peaceful. There is not a single record anywhere of any school of philosophy violently fighting with another. We do not have such a record. Why? Because it never happened. The aim was to be a pure seeker. Understand that true light, as they say in the prayer at the School of Ancient Wisdom. So you have to understand that great divinity. That is the aim. That is my aim. That is your aim as well. If you sound more appropriate to me, I will agree with you and follow your path. If I sound more appropriate to you, you agree with me and you join me in my path. We may have different paths, but our intent is the same. Our intent is the same and it is noble. And this intent is what is presented as mumukshutvam, the desire for moksha. So, there is a desire for moksha, right? As we saw in the previous two classes, Adhita Sangasa Shiraska Vedasya, Adhita Alpasthra Pala Kevala Karma Jnanataya. No matter which karma we do, its result is not permanent. Nothing seems to be permanent. I am living with happiness and sadness. I am not able to get rid of the negative traits completely. Can I attain an endless, stable state of existence, which has no problem at all? The Veda says, yes, you can. Therefore, to reach that state, I need to know Brahman. Who is that Brahman? I get the doubt, I get the question, I get the curiosity. And this is what is presented as Brahma Jignasa in the very first sutra of the Brahma Sutras, which is Athato Brahma Jignasa. It may be argued that if you have so many different schools, you will never know who is correct. How do I know who is correct? If you come to me, I will say I am correct. If you go to somebody else, they will say they are correct. How will you know who is correct? We have a solution for it. We say, first you follow whatever is common between all of us. Then you learn and then assess, analyze, and go with whoever you are able to agree in your heart with. If you are able to accept in your heart, it's a good thing. Like recently, there was a speaker speaking at a public conference. The speaker, speaking offline, he said, you are a woman, therefore you cannot attain moksha. The lady obviously felt bad. Her heart could not accept this. She immediately asked, but isn't there a concept called bhakti? Aren't there traditions that say that everybody can attain moksha? How could you say this? This is important for us to know. Because Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, Sriyo Vaishyas Tatha Shudraha Tepi Yanti Parangate. Krishna has declared that community is not a problem. Where you come from, which community you come from is not a problem if you want to attain moksha. Everybody can attain moksha. What should they do for that? Mam hi partha yapashritya. By surrendering to me, O Arjuna, anybody can attain moksha. This is the teaching of Krishna. And that is the teaching of Bhagavad Ramanuja as well. So, Yamai Vesha Vrunate, how do you understand that? Who will Bhagavan want to give moksha to? One who surrenders to him. There are so many ways of surrender. There is karma yoga of so many different types. You see great people performing meditation to attain Bhagavan. Are we cancelling all of that? No, we are not cancelling. But we are saying that even inside all of that, there is a surrender. The yogi who performs tapasya to attain moksha, let us assume there is a yogi who has mastered yoga. He is doing perfect yoga, perfect meditation. We are saying he can definitely attain moksha. But due to prarabdha karma, due to the past lives karma, it is possible that he is interrupted in his genuine effort. He might not have done any crime in this life, but his past life's karma might result in some kind of disturbance and prevent him from attaining Brahman. We have discussed this concept before, right? We called it prapti virodhi papa. How does the yogi come out of it? We say surrender to Bhagavan. So this surrender is central. You need surrender. Without surrender, there is no guarantee of moksha. And if you think, oh, why should I surrender? I am perfect. That means you have ahankara. And if you have ahankara, you definitely cannot attain moksha. This is the concept. And therefore, it is necessary to surrender no matter which path you take to go towards Brahman. Maybe you take a path of meditation, maybe you take a ritualistic path, maybe you take a path of pure bhakti, or maybe, like suggested in Bhagavad Ramanuja's school of philosophy, you declare that I am not perfect. Might not be capable of doing any of these things properly, but I am capable of one thing. I am capable of admitting myself to be incapable. And with that incapability, I beseech thee, I surrender to thee. I surrender to you completely. You yourself accept me as an akinchanya, a person who is incapable of achieving things by himself or herself. Accept me and therefore carry me forward. Take me towards moksha. This we call as paripurna sharanagati, the prapatti marga, about which once again we have discussed in detail in the previous classes. So this is the intent of Bhagavad Ramanuja when he presents the Laghu Siddhanta inside Jignasa Adhikarana, which exists inside the first pada of the Brahma Sutras. So with this, I would like to conclude today's lecture. If anybody has any question, please feel free to ask. If other schools of philosophy is flawed, then why does it exist? Good question. See, we are not saying that every single school of philosophy is flawed. Firstly, that is not our intention. If we are to say that everybody else is wrong, I am only right, that also means we have ahankara. But it is our genuine duty to try to understand what the Vedas are really trying to convey. Because we cannot allow anything and everything, right? We may have differences of opinion, but that does not mean that we can accept some nonsense. There was a guy called Hiranyakashipu. He preached nonsense. According to him, he said, change all the syllabi, change all your school textbooks, teach the children that according to Vedas, Hiranyakashipu is the supreme being. Hiranyakashipu is Paramatma. Vedas praise only Hiranyakashipu. Let people pray only to me. He created a cult. But when people perform yajna as per the teachings of the Vedas, the results of the yajna will not go to Hiranyakashipu. Therefore, he said, I will prevent you from performing yajna. I will prevent you from worshipping to Vishnu. I will prevent you from worshipping other deities. Worship only me. I am the supreme being. What an evil guy. We know for a fact that the school of theology presented by him is wrong. We know for a fact that philosophically also he was flawed. Because Hiranyakashipu, having been a person who had been created, he was not an endless person. He was not a beginningless person. He had a beginning. He had a mortal body. He was born and therefore had a day of death as well. That is what Brahmadeva himself had told him. How is it possible for such a person to be the Almighty? And what is moksha? How would Hiranyakashipu be able to grant moksha? All of those questions would be there, right? So we know for a fact that every single school of philosophy cannot be correct. So our duty is to have a genuine attempt at understanding philosophy by using the path shown by our gurus, our purvacharyas. This is what they have taught me. I am following this. And that is what Bhagavad Ramanuja says at the start of the Sri Bhashya. He says, Bhagavad Bodhayana Kritam Vistirnam Brahmasutra Vratim पूर्वाचार्याः संचिक्षिपुः तन्मतानुसारेण सूत्राक्षराणि व्याख्यास्यन्ते. Bhagavad Bodhayana, the great Maharshi Bodhayana, who lived during the days of Vedavyasa, who is credited with so many things, square root of 2, circling the square, so many things mathematically they say can be attributed to Bodhayana Maharshi. Even Pythagoras theorem shouldn't originally be called Pythagoras theorem. Bodhayana Maharshi had already talked about it before. That great Maharshi, he had explained the teachings of Veda Vyasa. The acharyas who came after him and followed his teachings condensed his teachings. Based on him and the acharyas who followed him, Bhagavad Ramanuja presented the Sri Bhashya. He said, let us understand the Brahma Sutras letter by letter on the basis of the teachings of the great Bodhayana Maharshi. So, in a way, this is also a kind of Sharanagati. You are surrendering to the path shown by your elders. And Yudhishthira says in Mahabharata that this is a very, very great thing to do. In Manaparva, Yudhishthira says, when you do not know who is right, so many different people have so many different opinions. What should you do? You follow the path shown by your ancestors, your gurus. It is the simplest thing. That is what we are recommending people to do as well. I hope that answers your question, Jannat ji. How will Bhagavan get pleased by your efforts? See, it's very simple. Bhagavan getting pleased means he says, do these things, I will grant moksha. If you do those things, we metaphorically say that Bhagavan gets pleased. How does the examiner get pleased when you write the full answer? The examiner gives you full marks. For a 10-mark question, the examiner gives you 10 marks. The person correcting, not the invigilator, the person who is correcting the paper. For a 10-mark question, they get pleased with your answer and give 10 marks. What will please them? If you write the correct answer, it will please them. If you write whatever they are looking for, it will please them. In the same way, Bhagavan gets pleased when you do whatever he is looking for. Why do you give examples of examinations? Oh, sorry. I started with that example today. Therefore, I continued. But the most difficult exam in life is life itself. Please remember that. If there is no other question, we will conclude the class here. Srivatsavam Shaklashodadi Kustupasya Srivasaraghava Gurostanayam Tatashcha Vidya Avapya Vibhudottamatam Dadhanam Kurve Sada Hridi Gurum Karunakarakyam. We cannot give our 100% all the time. That is true. We are not telling you to give 100% all the time. That is the whole concept of Sharanagati, the whole point of surrendering. Why do you surrender? If you are capable of giving everything perfectly, if you are capable of being perfect by your own effort, why will you ever surrender to Bhagavan? कवितार्किक सिंहाय कल्याण गुणशालिने श्रीमते वेंकटेशाय वेदांत गुरवे नमः. Thank you so much for attending.